Document. Part 1. The galaxy was burning. Stars seemed dimmer, their light swallowed by the endless void where battles raged and civilizations crumbled. The Krillian Empire had struck like a storm fast, brutal, and merciless. Their ships were everywhere, tearing through human colonies with weapons far beyond anything Earth's scientists could have imagined. Entire worlds fell silent, their populations wiped out in days. Humanity was losing, and it was losing badly. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge of the USS Vanguard, staring at the holographic display that floated above the central console. It showed a map of the sector, littered with red markers indicating destroyed outposts, lost fleets, and abandoned colonies. Only a few green dots remained, human strongholds, barely holding on. His jaw tightened as he leaned forward, resting, his hands on the railing. He hated this. Hated seeing his people crushed under the weight of an enemy they couldn't fight back against. But what choice did he have? Retreat wasn't an option, not anymore. Behind him, Lieutenant Elena Myers worked tirelessly at her station, her fingers flying over the glowing panels. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight bun, and her sharp eyes scanned the data streaming across her screen. She didn't look up when she spoke. "Sir, we've received confirmation from Admiral Hayes. Fleet Command wants us to fall back to Sector 7 for regrouping." Liam turned slightly, his expression unreadable. "And what good will that do? Every time we retreat, the Krillians take another step closer to Earth. We can't keep running forever." Elena hesitated, glancing up briefly before returning to her work. "I know, sir, but we're stretched too thin. If we don't consolidate our forces, we'll lose everything." Liam sighed, running a hand through his short-cropped hair. He knew she was right, but it still felt wrong. Running away while innocent lives were being extinguished, it left a bitter taste in his mouth. Still, orders were orders. "Fine," he said finally. "Set a course for Sector 7, but tell Fleet Command we won't stay there long. We need to hit backhand soon." "Yes, sir," Elena replied, already inputting the coordinates. The hum of the ship filled the silence as the Vanguard began its journey. Around them, the wreckage of the last battle drifted lazily through space-shattered hulls, twisted metal, and frozen bodies floating aimlessly. It was a graveyard, a grim reminder of how close humanity had come to annihilation. Liam walked over to one of the viewports, gazing out at the debris field. He clenched his fists, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. So many lives lost, so many families torn apart, and for what? "For nothing, Captain," came a voice from behind him. It was Chief Engineer Ryan Foster, his usual calm demeanor replaced by something closer to frustration. "We've got problems. The jump engines are overheating again. If we push them too hard, we risk blowing half the ship apart." Liam frowned, turning to face him. "How bad is it?" Ryan shrugged, wiping grease-stained hands on his uniform. "Bad enough. I've patched them up as best I can, but these engines weren't built for constant combat jumps. We're lucky they haven't failed already." "Keep working on it," Liam ordered. "We can't afford any delays. Not now." Ryan nodded and hurried off, leaving Liam alone once more. He stared out at the stars, wondering if anyone else out there understood just how dire things really were. The Krillians weren't just invaders, they were exmaters. They didn't negotiate or make deals. They didn't care about diplomacy or alliances. All they cared about was destruction. And unless humanity found a way to stop them, it would only be a matter of time before Earth itself became their next target. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. It was Dr. Olivia Bennett, the ship's xenobiologist. She approached cautiously, holding a datapad in her hands. Her pale blue eyes darted around the room before settling on Liam. "Captain, I think you should see this." He raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" "It's strange." She hesitated, glancing at the datapad. "While analyzing the energy signatures from the recent skirmish, I detected something unusual. There's a pattern, Hera's signal embedded within the radiation bursts. It's faint, but it's definitely artificial. Liam straightened, his interest piqued. Are you saying the Krillians are communicating? No, Olivia replied quickly. At least, not in any way we understand. This isn't language, it's more like instructions. Coordinates, maybe. Or a map. A map to what? Liam asked, leaning closer. That's the thing, Olivia admitted. I don't know yet. But whatever it is, it's important. Important enough for them to encode it into their attacks. Liam frowned, thinking, could this be the break they needed? A clue to understanding the Krillians' strategy, or better yet, a weakness they could exploit. Work on decoding it, he instructed, and let me know the moment you find anything useful. Yes, sir, Olivia said, nodding before hurrying away. As the hours passed, the Vanguard continued its journey toward Sector 7. The crew worked tirelessly, repairing damage, monitoring systems, and preparing for whatever lay ahead. But, despite their efforts, a sense of unease hung over the ship. Everyone knew the war wasn't going well. Everyone knew the odds were stacked against them. Yet somehow, they kept moving forward, driven by hope or, perhaps, desperation. Late that night, Liam found himself alone in his quarters, staring at the ceiling. Sleep eluded him, as it often did these days. His mind raced with questions. Was he doing enough? Was he making the right decisions? Could he really lead his people to victory? Or was he simply delaying the inevitable? Eventually, he sat up and reached for the photo frame on his desk. It was an old picture, taken years ago, during happier times. In it, he stood beside his wife and daughter, both smiling brightly under the sun. They were gone now, victims of the Krillian invasion. Just 2 more names added to the ever-growing list of losses. For a long moment, Liam stared at the image, letting the memories wash over him. Then, with a deep breath, he set the frame down and stood. Whatever happened next, he couldn't afford to dwell on the past. Humanity's survival depended on him and he wouldn't let them down. Document, Part 2. The USS Vanguard arrived at Sector 7 after a tense journey, its engines groaning under the strain of one too many jumps. The sector was supposed to be safe, at least as safe as anything could be in this war, but Liam Carter wasn't reassured. He stood on the bridge, staring at the viewports as the fleet's remaining ships drifted into formation around them. Most were battered and scarred, their hulls patched together with whatever materials the engineers could scavenge. It was a grim sight, but it was all they had left. Admiral Grant Hayes awaited them aboard the orbital command station, a massive structure that loomed like a fortress against the blackness of space. Liam stepped onto the transport shuttle alongside Lieutenant Elena Myers, both wearing their uniforms with a mix of pride and exhaustion. As the shuttle docked, Liam felt the weight of expectation pressing down on him. Everyone was looking for answers he didn't have. The meeting room was stark and utilitarian, its walls lined with screens displaying tactical maps and casualty reports. Admiral Hayes sat at the head of the table, his face etched with fatigue. Around him were other captains and officers, some familiar, others new faces brought in to replace those who hadn't made it. The air was heavy with tension, and no one spoke until Hayes cleared his throat. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice steady but weary. "I won't sugarcoat things. We're losing this war. If we don't find a way to turn the tide soon, Earth will be next." A murmur rippled through the room, but Liam remained silent, his eyes fixed on the Admiral. Hayes continued, "We've been trying to fight the Krillians on their terms, and it's killing us. They outnumber us, outgun us, and outmaneuver us at every turn. What we need now is something different, something bold." He paused, glancing around the room before settling his gaze on Liam. "Captain Carter, I understand your ship intercepted unusual signals during your last engagement. Tell me more about that." Liam leaned forward slightly, nodding. "Yes, sir. Our xenobiologist, Dr. Bennett, detected encoded patterns within the radiation bursts from the Krillian attacks. She believes they might contain coordinates or instructions, possibly even clues to their strategy. Hayes raised an eyebrow. And has she decoded them yet? Not fully, Liam admitted. But she's close. If we can crack it, it might give us an edge. The Admiral nodded thoughtfully. Good. Keep working on it. In the meantime, there's another matter we need to address. He gestured to a woman seated near the end of the table. She stood up gracefully, her presence commanding attention. Her name was Claire Dawson, and she served as humanity's ambassador to alien races. Ambassador Dawson has been negotiating with the Tauran Collective, Hayes explained. They've agreed to share intelligence about the Krillian homeworld in exchange for certain assurances. Claire stepped forward, her expression calm but firm. The Taurans are wary of humans, and rightfully so. We haven't always treated them fairly in the past, but they recognize that the Krellians pose a threat to everyone, not just us. They've provided coordinates to the Krellian homeworld, a heavily fortified planet hidden deep within a nebula. A ripple of excitement passed through the room, followed by skepticism. One of the captains spoke up. Even if we know where it is, how do we get there? Their defenses are impenetrable. It's risky, yes, Claire acknowledged. But the Taurans have offered us stealth technology capable of masking our ships from Krillian sensors. It's not foolproof, but it gives us a chance. Liam listened intently, his mind racing. Attacking the Krillian homeworld was madness, or at least it seemed that way. But what choice did they have? Sitting back and waiting for the enemy to come to them had only led to defeat after defeat. Maybe this was the opportunity they needed. Still, he couldn't ignore the risks. What happens if we fail? He asked aloud. If we lose the element of surprise, we'll be walking straight into a trap. That's true, Hayes admitted. But staying here won't save us either. Every day we delay, the Krillians grow stronger. This might be our only shot. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Finally, Liam spoke again. If we're going to do this, we'll need everything the Taurans can give. US and then some. Stealth tech alone won't be enough. We'll need detailed intel on their defenses, troop movements, and any weaknesses we can exploit. Claire nodded. I'll see what else I can negotiate. But remember, the Taurans aren't doing this out of goodwill. They expect us to honor our promises. We will, Hayes said firmly. For now, let's focus on planning. Captain Carter, I want your ship leading the strike team. You've proven yourself time and again. Can you handle this? Liam hesitated for a moment, then met the Admiral's gaze. Yes, sir, we'll make it work. As the meeting broke up, Liam found himself walking beside Claire Dawson. She glanced at him, her sharp eyes assessing. You seem uncertain, she remarked. I'm cautious, Liam corrected. This mission is dangerous, and I don't like putting my crew in harm's way without knowing all the facts. Fair enough, Claire replied. But sometimes caution isn't an option. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Liam sighed. Faith hasn't done much for us lately. Back aboard the Vanguard, Liam gathered his senior staff in the briefing room. Alina, Ryan, and Olivia listened intently as he outlined the plan. When he finished, the room was quiet, each person lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. So, we're sneaking into a death trap. Great. Just what I signed up for. Alina shot him a look. Do you have a better idea? No, Ryan admitted. But someone should point out how insane this is. Olivia spoke up, her tone measured. If the Taurans' intel is accurate, and if we can use their stealth tech effectively, we might actually stand a chance. But it's going to take precision. One mistake, and we're done. Liam nodded. Exactly. Which is why we need to prepare for every possible scenario. Alina, coordinate with Fleet Command to gather as much data as you can. Ryan, double-check the engines. I don't want any surprises Olivia, keep working on decoding those signals. Whatever they mean, it could be the key to pulling this off. They dispersed, leaving Liam alone in the briefing room. He stared at the holographic map hovering above the table, showing the route to the nebula and the location of the Krillian homeworld. The odds were stacked against them, but he refused to give up. Humanity had survived worse. At least, it had survived for now. And as long as there was breath in his body, he would fight to keep it that way. Later that evening, Liam sought out Olivia in the lab. She was hunched over her workstation, surrounded by screens filled with complex equations and diagrams. He watched her for a moment before speaking. Any progress? She looked up, startled, then relaxed when she saw who it was. Think I've isolated part of the signal. It's definitely coordinates, but they're encrypted. Breaking it will take time. How much time? Liam asked. Oliva hesitated. Hard to say, days, maybe longer. Why? Because we don't have days, Liam said bluntly. The sooner we move, the better our chances. But I need to know what we're dealing with. I'll do my best, Olivia promised, though her tone suggested she wasn't optimistic. As Liam left the lab, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were rushing headlong into disaster. But what choice did they have? The Krillians wouldn't stop until humanity was wiped out. If taking the fight to their homeworld was the only way to survive, then so be it, even if it meant risking everything. That night, as the Vanguard prepared for its next mission, Liam stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the nebula, lay the heart of the Krillian Empire. A fortress world bristling with weapons and hatred. He clenched his fists, resolve hardening within him. No matter the cost, they would strike back. For Earth, for humanity, for everyone who had already fallen. And if they failed, well, Liam didn't plan on failing. Document. Part 3. The USS Vanguard entered the nebula cautiously, its sleek hull disappearing into the swirling clouds of gas and dust. The crew worked in tense silence, their eyes glued to their consoles, as the ship's sensors struggled to make sense of the chaotic environment. The nebula was beautiful, in a haunting way. Shimmering hues of red, purple, and gold danced around them like ghostly ribbons, but it was also treacherous. Electromagnetic interference distorted communications, disrupted navigation systems, and made every second feel like a gamble. Chief Engineer Ryan Foster was on edge, pacing back and forth in the engine room. His face was streaked with grease, and his uniform looked like it hadn't been changed in days. "This is insane," he muttered under his breath, as he adjusted a panel glowing with warning lights. "We're flying blind out here." Nearby, one of his assistants called out, "Engine temperature is rising again, sir. If we don't stabilize soon, we risk overheating." Ryan clenched his jaw and moved quickly to another console. "Divert power from non-essential systems. We need to keep the engines cool, or this whole thing blows." He didn't need to explain what this whole thing meant. Everyone knew that if the engines failed inside the nebula, they'd be stranded, easy prey for the Krillians or worse, lost forever in the endless void. On the bridge, Captain Liam Carter stood beside Lieutenant Elena Myers, who was monitoring the ship's progress through the thick haze. Her brow furrowed as she studied the flickering screens. "Sir, the Tauran stealth tech is holding up, but it's not perfect. Some of the interference is bleeding through. If the Krillians have patrols nearby, they might detect us." Liam nodded grimly. "Let's hope they aren't expecting anyone to be crazy enough to come in here. Keep us steady, Lieutenant." "Yes, sir," Elena replied, her voice steady, despite the tension in the air. Dr. Olivia Bennett was in the science lab, poring over the mysterious signal they had intercepted earlier. She had spent countless hours trying to decode it, and now, deep within the nebula, her work took on even greater urgency. Around her, monitors displayed streams of data, graphs, and fragmented patterns. She leaned closer to one screen, her fingers tapping rapidly on the keyboard. Got something, she murmured to herself. A faint smile crossed her lips as part of the encryption unraveled. It revealed a series of coordinates, not just any coordinates, but ones leading deeper into the nebula. They matched the location provided by the Taurans for the Krillian homeworld. But there was more. Embedded within the signal were strange energy signatures. Unlike anything she'd seen before, Olivia frowned, leaning back in her chair. What did it mean? Was it a trap? Or was it some kind of defense mechanism hidden within the nebula itself? She saved her findings and headed for the bridge to report her discovery. When she arrived, Liam turned to her immediately. What do you have? It's complicated, Olivia began, glancing at the holographic map hovering above the central console. I managed to decode part of the signal. It confirms the coordinates we already have, but there's an additional layer. These energy signatures, they're unusual. They could indicate traps, automated defenses, or even biological hazards. Liam's expression darkened. Biological hazards? Yes, Olivia said hesitantly. The patterns suggest something organic, possibly engineered. I can't say for sure without more analysis, but whatever it is, it's dangerous, Alina chimed, in her tone worried. If we run into something like that while navigating the nebula, it could slow us down or worse. We'll deal with it when we get there, Liam said firmly. For now, stay focused. Olivia, keep working on those signals. Alina, adjust our course based on the new information. And tell Ryan to keep those engines running no matter what. As the orders were relayed, the crew doubled down on their tasks. The tension aboard the Vanguard was palpable, each member aware of the stakes. They were venturing into uncharted territory, guided only by fragments of intelligence and sheer determination. Every decision felt like walking a tightrope, balancing between survival and catastrophe. Hours passed, and the nebula grew denser. The swirling gases outside the viewports seemed alive, shifting and pulsing as if watching the intruders pass. Strange flashes of light occasionally illuminated the darkness, casting eerie shadows across the bridge. Liam couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone, that something was lurking just beyond their sensors, waiting. Suddenly, alarms blared, startling everyone. Elena's hands flew across her console as she tried to pinpoint the source. Sir, there's a massive energy spike ahead. It's interfering with our systems. Can we go around it? Liam asked sharply. Elena shook her head. Negative. It's too wide. We'll have to pass through it. Ryan's voice crackled over the intercom. Captain, the engines won't handle much more stress. If we hit that spike, we could lose propulsion entirely. Liam hesitated, weighing the options. Going back wasn't an option. They'd wasted too much time already. Pushing forward was risky, but staying put would leave them vulnerable. Prepare for impact, he ordered. Everyone, brace yourselves. The Vanguard surged forward, its shields straining against the electromagnetic storm. Sparks flew from overloaded panels, and the ship shuddered violently as it plowed through the energy field. For a moment, it felt like the entire vessel might tear apart. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the turbulence subsided. Report, Liam barked, gripping the railing for support. All systems functional, but barely, Alina replied, her voice shaky. Shields are down to 20%. Engines are holding for now. Ryan's voice came through again, sounding exhausted. But relieved. We're still in one piece, Captain. But next time, let's try not to test fate, okay? Liam allowed himself a small smile, noted. Good work, everyone. Despite the close call, the crew pressed on. As they ventured deeper into the nebula, the energy signatures detected by Olivia grew stronger. On the science lab monitors, shapes began to form unmistakably alien structures floating amidst the gas clouds. They were enormous, jagged constructs that seemed to pulse with an unnatural light. Some resembled ships, while others looked like fortresses or factories. What are those things? Alina whispered, staring at the viewports. I don't know, Liam admitted, but they're definitely not natural. Olivia joined them, her face pale. They match the energy signatures I decoded. Whatever these are, they're connected to the Krillians. Maybe they're part of their defense network, or part of their experiments, Liam added darkly. He thought about the biological hazards Olivia had mentioned earlier. If the Krillians were creating weapons, or worse, living weapons in the nebula, humanity was in even greater danger than they realized. The Vanguard slowed as it approached one of the structures. Its surface was covered in strange markings, glowing faintly in the dim light. Tentatively, Liam gave the order to scan it. Let's see if we can learn anything useful. As the scanners activated, a low hum filled the ship. Then, without warning, the structure shifted. Panels on its surface slid open, revealing rows of glowing orbs that pulsed rhythmically. Before anyone could react, beams of light shot out, striking the Vanguard. The ship rocked violently, alarms screaming as systems went haywire. Shields are collapsing, Alina shouted. We're being targeted. Evasive maneuvers, Liam commanded. Get us out of range. The helmsman yanked the controls, sending the Vanguard into a sharp turn. The beams followed them for a moment, then ceased as abruptly as they had started. The structure returned to its dormant state, its glowing orbs dimming once more. Silence fell over the bridge as the crew caught their breath. Liam stared at the structure, his mind racing. Had it been a warning, a test, or simply an automated response to their presence? We can't afford distractions like that, he said finally. Stay focused. Our mission hasn't changed. We find the Krillian homeworld, and we hit them where it hurts. No one argued. They all knew the risks and the stakes. The nebula was proving to be far more dangerous than anyone had anticipated, but turning back wasn't an option. Humanity's future depended on their success. As the Vanguard continued its journey, Liam couldn't help but wonder what other horrors awaited them in the depths of the nebula. Whatever lay ahead, he vowed to face it head-on, for Earth, for humanity, for everyone counting on them to win this war. Document Part 4. The USS Vanguard drifted cautiously through the nebula, its crew still shaken from their encounter with the mysterious alien structure. The ship's systems were holding steady for now, but the damage to the shields was concerning. Every member of the crew knew they couldn't afford another close call. Yet, despite the danger, they pressed on, driven by a mix of duty and desperation. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the viewports. The swirling gases of the nebula seemed darker here, almost suffocating, as if the void itself was trying to swallow them whole. Strange shapes occasionally flickered in the distance, more of those jagged structures, perhaps, or something else. Entirely. He didn't like it. Something about this place felt wrong. Sir, Lieutenant Alina Myers called out, breaking the silence. Sensors are picking up an object ahead. It's not one of the Krillian constructs. Liam turned to her. What is it? It's a ship, she replied, her voice tinged with unease. But it's not moving. No power signatures, no life signs. It's dead. Commander Alex Rivera stepped forward, his face grim. As head of security, he had seen enough derelict ships to know what awaited them inside. Permission to investigate, Captain. Liam hesitated. Boarding unknown vessels was always risky, especially in hostile territory. But they needed answers. If this ship belonged to the Krillians or worse, carried some clue about their plans, they couldn't ignore it. Granted, he said finally. Assemble a team. Be careful. Alex nodded, and quickly gathered a small squad, including Sergeant Daniel Brooks, whose calm demeanor masked a lethal efficiency in combat. Together, they suited up in environmental gear and prepared to board the mysterious vessel. The shuttle detached from the Vanguard and approached the derelict ship, its hull pockmarked with scars from battles long past. When the boarding party entered the ship, the air was thick with decay. Lights flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows along the corridors. The walls were covered in strange marking symbols that none of them recognized. Alex signaled for silence as they moved deeper into the vessel. Weapons drawn, it didn't take long to find evidence of what had happened. In the central chamber, they discovered the remains of the crew, or, at least, what was left of them. Bodies lay scattered across the floor, twisted and broken. Their faces were frozen in expressions of sheer terror, as if they had been driven mad before dying. Some clutched weapons, others tools, but none appeared to have fought back against whatever had killed them. "What did this?" Daniel whispered, his voice tight with unease. "I don't know," Alex admitted, scanning the room. His gaze fell on a console near the far wall. "Let's see if we can pull any data." He worked quickly, bypassing corrupted systems, until fragments of information began to appear on the screen. Logs, recordings, sensor readings all piecing together a horrifying story. The ship's crew had encountered something during their mission, something they hadn't expected. At first, they thought it was a malfunction, a glitch in their systems. But then, people started changing, acting strangely, turning on each other. By the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. "They were infected," Alex muttered, reading through the logs. "Some kind of organism, biological, engineered. It spread through the ship, taking over their minds, driving them insane." Daniel frowned. "You think it came from the nebula?" "It has to be," Alex replied. "This place isn't just hiding the Krillian homeworld. It's a testing ground, a lab. Whatever they're building here, it's designed to destroy us." Back on the Vanguard, Liam listened intently as Alex reported their findings. When the transmission ended, the bridge was silent. Everyone understood the implications. If the Krillians were creating biological weapons within the nebula, humanity wasn't just fighting a war, it was facing extinction. "We need to warn Fleet Command," Alina said finally. "If these things get loose, we can't turn back now," Liam interrupted, his tone firm. "If we retreat, we lose our chance to strike at the heart of the Krillian Empire. We'll find a way to deal with whatever's out there. We have to." Dr. Olivia Bennett joined them, her expression troubled. "Captain, I've analyzed the energy signatures from that derelict ship. They match the patterns I decoded earlier. This organism, it's connected to the Krillian signal, maybe even part of their plan. So they're using the nebula to hide their experiments," Liam concluded. "That explains why they chose this place. Remote, dangerous, and full of resources. And it means we're walking straight into a trap," Ryan Foster added, stepping onto the bridge. His usual sarcasm was gone, replaced by genuine concern. "Every step we take brings us closer to whatever nightmare they've unleashed." Liam nodded. "Then we proceed with caution. Olivia, keep analyzing those signals. Look for weaknesses in the organism. Alina, monitor the sensors closely. If you detect anything unusual, let me know immediately." "Yes, sir," both women replied, in unison. As the hours passed, the tension aboard the Vanguard grew heavier. The crew worked tirelessly, their movements precise but hurried. Conversations were brief, focused solely on the task at hand. No one wanted to dwell on the horrors they had uncovered or what might lie ahead. Late that night, Liam found himself alone in his quarters, staring at the photo of his wife and daughter. The image brought him little comfort now, only reminders of what he was fighting for. He leaned back in his chair, closing his eyes as memories washed over him. For a moment, he allowed himself to imagine a different life, one where Earth was safe, where families weren't torn apart by war. But the illusion faded quickly, replaced by the harsh reality of his situation. A soft knock at the door pulled him from his thoughts. It was Olivia, holding a datapad in trembling hands. "Captain, I think you should see this." He gestured for her to enter. "What is it?" "I've finished decoding more of the signal," she explained, setting the datapad on his desk. It's not just coordinates. It's instructions for deployment. The Krillians aren't planning to invade Earth conventionally. They're going to release these organisms directly into human space. Colonies, cities, anywhere people gather. Liam stared at the screen, his blood running cold. How widespread would the damage be? Catastrophic, Olivia admitted. Once released, the organisms could multiply exponentially. Billions would die within weeks, maybe days. For a long moment, Liam said nothing. The weight of the revelation crushed him, but he forced himself to stay composed. Panic wouldn't help anyone. We stopped them, he said finally. No matter the cost. Olivia nodded, though her eyes betrayed her fear. There's one more thing. The signal includes a failsafe sequence designed to neutralize the organisms. But activating it requires access to the Krillian control center, if we can reach it. We'll do whatever it takes, Liam promised. Tell me everything you know about this failsafe, and prep your team. We may need to adapt it to work with our technology. As Olivia left, Liam remained seated, his mind racing. The stakes had never been higher. They weren't just fighting for victory anymore, they were fighting for survival. Failure meant annihilation, not just for humanity, but for countless other species caught in the Krillians' path. On the bridge, Alina adjusted the course, guiding the Vanguard deeper into the nebula. Outside the viewports, the swirling gases seemed darker, heavier, as if the very fabric of space was closing in around them. She glanced at Liam, who stood silently beside her, his expression unreadable. Do you think we can really pull this off? She asked quietly. Liam didn't answer right away. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady. We don't have a choice. If we fail, no one else will stand against them. Humanity's future depends on us. Alina nodded, though doubt lingered in her eyes. Still, she returned her focus to her console, determined to do her part. Around them, the crew worked with quiet resolve, each member aware of the burden they carried. Somewhere out there, beyond the nebula, lay the Krillian homeworld, and the key to stopping the nightmare before it began. The journey was fraught with peril, every step bringing them closer to danger. But as long as the Vanguard sailed onward, hope remained. And hope, no matter how fragile, was worth fighting for. Document. Part 5. The USS Vanguard moved deeper into the nebula, its crew tense and weary. The discovery of the derelict ship and the horrifying truth about the Krillians' biological weapons had shaken everyone to their core. Conversations were sparse, and when they did happen, they were practical, focused on survival rather than hope. The weight of what lay ahead pressed down on them like a physical force. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, his eyes scanning the viewports. The swirling gases outside seemed alive, twisting and shifting, as if reacting to the ship's presence. It was unsettling, but there was no time to dwell on it. Every second brought them closer to the Krillian homeworld, and closer to the moment when they would either succeed or fail entirely. Lieutenant Alina Myers sat at her station, her fingers flying over the glowing panels. Her sharp eyes darted between screens, monitoring the ship's systems and keeping an eye out for any signs of danger. She glanced up occasionally at Liam, noticing the lines of exhaustion etched into his face. He hadn't slept much since entering the nebula, and she doubted he would until this mission was over. "Sir," she said finally, breaking the silence. "I've detected another anomaly ahead. It's faint, but it matches the energy signatures we've seen before." Liam turned to her. "Another structure." "Possibly," Alina replied, "but it's smaller than the others. Could be a patrol outpost or something else. We'll need to investigate," Liam decided. "If it's guarding the route to the homeworld, we can't afford to ignore it." Alina nodded and adjusted the course, guiding the Vanguard toward the anomaly. As they approached, the shape became clearer, jagged platform floating in the void, surrounded by faintly glowing orbs. It looked abandoned, but appearances could be deceiving. Chief Engineer Ryan Foster joined them on the bridge, wiping grease-stained hands on his uniform. "You're not seriously thinking about stopping again, are you? We barely survived last time." "We don't have a choice," Liam said firmly. "We need to know what we're dealing with. If that thing is part of their defense network, we can't risk running into it later." Ryan sighed, but didn't argue. He knew better than to question Liam's decisions, especially now. Instead, he muttered under his breath about how many times they'd pushed their luck already. Dr. Olivia Bennett was in the science lab, analyzing the latest data from the derelict ship. She worked tirelessly, trying to piece together more information about the fail-safe sequence. Her screen displayed complex diagrams and equations, but her expression remained troubled. "Still no breakthrough," came a voice from behind her. It was Commander Alex Rivera, leaning against the doorway. Olivia shook her head. "Not yet. The failsafe is designed for Krillian technology, not ours. Adapting it will take time we may not have." Alex crossed his arms. "Then we'll make do with what we've got. You've done amazing work so far. Keep going." She gave him a small, grateful smile before returning to her task. Alex lingered for a moment, watching her work, then left to check on his security team. They needed to be ready for anything. Back on the bridge, the tension grew thicker as the Vanguard neared the platform. The crew braced themselves for another encounter with whatever horrors the nebula held. But when they arrived, the structure appeared lifeless, dark and silent, its glowing orbs dimmed to almost nothing. "Scan it," Liam ordered. Alina complied, running a full diagnostic. After a few moments, she frowned. "No power readings, no movement. It's dead just like the last one." "That doesn't mean it's safe," Ryan interjected. "Could be booby-trapped, double quotes." Liam nodded. "Alex, take a team and check it out. Stay alert." Alex assembled his squad quickly, including Sergeant Daniel Brooks, who carried a scanner capable of detecting biological threats. As they boarded the shuttle and approached the platform, the air felt heavy with anticipation. When they landed and stepped onto the structure, the silence was deafening. The interior was eerily similar to the derelict ship corridors, lined with strange markings, flickering lights casting long shadows. But unlike the previous vessel, this place showed no signs of violence. No bodies, no wreckage, just emptiness. "This is wrong," Daniel murmured, his hand resting on the grip of his weapon. "Feels like we're being watched." Alex agreed. "Spread out. Look for anything useful, logs, tech, anything." They split up, moving cautiously through the corridors. It wasn't long before Daniel called out, "Over here, found something." Others gathered around him, staring at a large console embedded in the wall. Its surface was cracked, but parts of it still functioned. Alex knelt beside it, working quickly to access the system. Fragments of data began to appear: maps, coordinates, and schematics. "It's a relay station," Alex realized. "Part of some kind of network. Looks like it was used to monitor activity in the nebula." "And look at this," Daniel added, pointing to a section of the screen. "It's marked containment zone. That's got to be where they're keeping those organisms." Liam's voice crackled over the comms. "Report back, Commander. We need to move." "Understood," Alex replied. "We've got intel on their containment zone. Sending it to you now." As the team returned to the Vanguard, Liam reviewed the new information. The containment zone was located near the Krillian homeworld, guarded by multiple structures like the one they had just explored. Breaking through wouldn't be easy, but it was their only chance to stop the biological threat. On the bridge, tensions flared as the crew debated their next move. Some argued for caution, suggesting they regroup and plan further. Others insisted they strike immediately, fearing delays would give the Krillians time to deploy their weapons. "We can't wait," Liam declared, his tone leaving no room for argument. Every second we hesitate puts Earth at risk. We go now. Alina hesitated but nodded. Understood, sir. Plotting a course. Ryan groaned. Great. Another suicide run. Just what I signed up for. Despite his sarcasm, he returned to the engine room to ensure the ship was ready. Meanwhile, Olivia continued working on the failsafe, her progress slow but steady. She knew failure wasn't an option, not when billions of lives depended on her success. Later that evening, Liam found himself pacing the observation deck. The nebula stretched endlessly beyond the viewports, its beauty masking the horrors hidden within. He thought about the sacrifices they had made and the ones yet to come. This war had taken everything from him, his family, his peace of mind, even his faith in humanity's ability to endure. Yet here he was, leading a desperate mission that might save them all or doom them forever. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. It was Alina, holding a cup of coffee. She offered it to him, with a tired smile. Thought you could use this? He accepted it gratefully. Thanks. What's the status? All systems are holding steady for now, she replied. But morale is low. People are scared, Captain. They're starting to wonder if we're doing the right thing. Liam sighed, taking a sip of the bitter liquid. Fear is natural, but we can't let it control us. We've come too far to turn back now. I know, Alina admitted. But sometimes I wonder, what happens if we win? Will humanity ever recover from this? We'll find a way, Liam said firmly. We always do. Alina nodded, though her expression remained uncertain. For a moment, they stood in silence, watching the nebula swirl around them. Then she straightened, her resolve hardening. Whatever happens, I'll be ready. As will I, Liam promised. And so will everyone else. Because that's what we do. We fight, we survive, and we never give up. As the night wore on, the USS Vanguard continued its journey, pushing deeper into the heart of the nebula. Ahead lay the Krillian homeworld and the final battle that would decide the fate of humanity. The crew knew the odds were against them. But they also knew one thing for certain. They weren't going down without a fight. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together.